Hello, creative friends. It shouldn't be this hard to talk to you today. After all, I've been posting videos to YouTube for almost 15 years. Well, except for this past year. I'm a bit rusty, but I'll do my best. A bit of housekeeping first to get the project going, and then I'll catch you up on why I've been away for so long. As the title suggests, I'll be painting a bookmark with watercolors, and I'll be showing you a technique to create dimension with shading and highlights all in one go. This technique gives this beautiful bold flower some depth, and you'll see it's really not difficult. This video is almost an hour long. This was intentional because I want you to see the full painting process so that you can paint along with me and practice this technique. Don't worry about the sketch. It is up for grabs on Patreon for free. You don't need to be a member to download it. I will leave the link in the Show More section as well as in a pinned comment. It's also where you will find the list of supplies and the music used in this video. I am working on a 2 inches by 6 inches piece of watercolor paper. So this is cold pressed, 140 pound weight by Arches. It is cotton paper. I prefer to work on cotton paper as it makes the blending technique a little bit easier, but it can also be achieved on cellulose or regular watercolor paper. The brush that I'm using is a 1 inch round by Da Vinci from their Cosmo Top Spin collection. The bristles are synthetic and it's perfect for precision work such as this. I consider this type of blending technique to be modern. We're going to break the quote-unquote watercolor rules in that we are going to go from dark to light and not the opposite. And each sections will be treated separately. For the flower, each petals will be done by painting one and then skipping the one next to it. And then by the time that you have gone around, you will be able to go back to the in-between petals and paint it, because by that time the paint will have had time to dry, which is fantastic because we love waiting for paint to dry. Not. So that's great for that. The leaves can be done in one go because each sections of the leaves are separated by a vein, which is actually the color of the paper. So the vein is not painted. What I would suggest is that you work on every other petal of the flower and then move on to a leaf. Paint that leaf and then go back to the in-between petals. You will see this technique repeated many times. I have left probably all of the painting, so you have plenty of time to practice if you are following along. Basically what I have done, I have loaded my brush with a lot of pigment, so my color is almost to its mass tone. I apply this color close to the main vein. I color or I paint a little section. Then I remove some of the excess paint onto a paper towel. I clean my brush, not completely. I just dip my brush in water, remove a bit of the excess water, and go to the top of that section and then join towards the bottom, towards the darkest value. So that gives me a light value at the top, a middle one, and then the darkest at the bottom. And that's all I did for the entire thing. The leaves are done with just one color. It's with sap green. And for the petals and also the center of the flower, I have mixed a bit of Indian yellow with transparent pale orange, but I like to mix directly on paper. Another rule that I'm breaking. It looks more natural to me. I just like the variations of the two colors blended on the paper. The top petals will be a little bit lighter. Of course, the ones underneath are a bit deeper in shades, and that's normal to me anyway. And that's about it. It's not difficult to understand, but it needs practice. So that is why I've left most of the process, most of the painting, so that you can take your time, download the sketch. It's, like I said, free on Patreon. It's an attachment to a post. The link will take you directly to that, and then print it out. And from that printout, which is sized up to the 2 by 6 inches design, there are different ways to transfer it onto watercolor paper. The easiest way, of course, is to have access to an LED or a light box or a light panel, whatever you want to call it. And obviously you would put your printout directly on the glass of the panel, and then put your watercolor paper on top, and with the light behind, it will allow you to see the sketch, and you just take a pencil and trace over that. You can also do the same method by holding both papers in a window. And there are 2 other ways, but this time you're going to shift it. You're going to put your watercolor paper on your table, and then you're either going to use graphite paper and sandwich that in between your printout and your watercolor paper, and then just trace the sketch with a pen. I would recommend a ballpoint pen because it'll be easier to transfer. And if you don't have access to graphite paper, you can still do the same thing, but with a pencil. Scribble on the back of the printout. So basically, you just fabricate your own graphite paper, if you will, and then put that graphite side on top of the watercolor paper and transfer your design like the other method with a rollerball pen. I had to make a few corrections and adjustments along the way, and that is perfectly normal. because sometimes my darkest color took over and it didn't give me a decent medium value, or my lightest value was too dark. As long as the section that I'm working on is still wet, I can still make adjustments. And if I felt that I just couldn't get it right, I just moved on and came back to it later. In fact, some of these petals have had 2 layers. You can also lift color if you've gone too dark, and you can do that with a clean and thirsty brush. So what I mean by a thirsty brush is cleaning your brush in clean water, obviously, and removing the excess water by dabbing it onto your paper towel, and then just paint over the section that you want to lighten up. The thirsty brush will just soak up the excess paint. Now be very careful, because if you have too much water on your brush, it will have obviously the opposite effect, will create a lake over that section, and you risk the chance of creating what we call blooms or harsh lines. And for this technique, you don't necessarily want harsh lines. So I know I've repeated this information many times in my previous videos, so those that are fairly experienced with watercolor will already know that, but I think it's worth repeating because I always assume that there are new people here that are watching the videos, and maybe you're just beginning on your watercolor journey, and if that's the case, welcome. It's a wonderful world. You'll have a lot of fun. I just try to give as much tips and tricks along the way as I can. So what you're going to see next is fairly repetitive, and if you're painting along with me, great, you have someone to work with alongside you. I will leave you with some music, and I will be back later on to talk about why I have been away from YouTube for so long. I didn't mean to take a break at first. The last video I published was in May 2023, and I remember feeling uninspired and uncertain about the direction of my art back then. And this led to continually messing up with the recording process, like pausing when I hadn't hit the record button in the first place, therefore falling out of sequence. Also being frustrated with the long hours of the editing process with the voiceovers, the subtitles, the translations, etc. I also felt like I had run out of things to say, and that's a red flag. I was emotionally drained. It was all I could do to keep up with my Patreon obligations, where I create 3 videos a month for them. My lovely supporters who have been fantastic, more than patient with me. I was also in the middle of a Patreon project that was gradually morphing into something more involved than intended. And my art was changing, for the better, I think, but it required more effort and time. Plus, my video camera decided to break on me, so I had to use my phone, and that required a new setup. I was just running behind on my Patreon projects, and things just started piling up. That's when the break became intentional. I decided to take a couple of months off from YouTube, and a couple of months turned into 6 months, into 9, and then a year and 2 months later, here we are. My coming back now is very scary because I needed to liberate myself from the trauma of continually messing up the recording and the fear of being irrelevant. Every time I would sit down and start recording for a video for you guys, I would second guess myself, and again I would mess up. It became a vicious circle. Now, I will say throughout all this, a wonderful thing happened last fall. I became a grandmother to a sweet and beautiful little baby boy. I never thought I would enjoy being a nana so much, but here we are. Obviously, I was more than happy to provide some much needed help in exchange for lots of cuddle time with that tiny little bean. He's so adorable and so sweet. I love him to pieces. And yeah, that's that in a nutshell. In early June, I managed to film what you're watching right now, but ironically, I got really sick and lost my voice for almost the entire month. Even still, my voice is not completely back to what it was, but today I'm finally doing the voiceover after having spent some time editing this video, and there we are. I am not making any promises as to how often I will upload videos here yet. I've also been toying with the idea of doing live streams because that eliminates the editing process, and this is the thing that frustrates me the most. Every time I sit down to edit now, I cringe. I'm being very honest with you. The whole editing process almost makes me ill. I'm being dramatic, but that is the honest truth. So I thought live streaming, not all the time, but interspersed between videos, would be a great way to connect with you all by being able to interact directly with you through the chat. So I don't know if this is something that would interest you. Live streams are recorded, so they can be viewed afterwards. And I think it might be fun. I just need to buy not a multicam, but a webcam, another one, a second one, and a multicam software. But I've got the rest. I don't know. Tell me what you think, guys. I need your opinion. I need your help. Yep, that happened. I have to tell you, at that point, I almost scrapped the whole project and started over again. But I decided to let it be for now. I was either going to cover it up with a white gel pen or something like that, or I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking at the time. But what I ended up doing is adding a partial flower to hide this mark. And once I had done that, I figured that for balance, it needed another clump of petals to the bottom left-hand side. But yeah, that's how I corrected my mistake. I did not start all over. And I was very proud of myself for that. I'm adding a few dots in the middle of the flower with this beautiful sparkling gel pen in gold, obviously. And later on I'll be sliding this bookmark into a plastic sleeve that I bought from Amazon. And I also added a gold tassel. And I regret not having taken a few shots from this angle with my phone while I was doing the blending process. I'm not sure why. Chalk it up to inexperience or forgotten experience, I guess. A quick shout out to my friend Lucy, who is Lucy Oodledoo here on YouTube and other social media. She's created this beautiful mixing palette and that little water bowl that I use throughout the video. So if you want to go and check her out, I will leave her link below. Earlier in the video, I talked about this special project that I had going on Patreon last year. And so this is it. It's an accordion book. And every month I use the double spread to illustrate a quote that was suggested by one of my patrons. And as you can see at the beginning, it started very simply. That was the intention. But gradually I realized that simple does not really fly for me when it comes to my art. And by June, I want to say, my paintings had become quite illustrative. I've actually shared some of those sketches with my patrons, so if you're interested, I will leave the link below to my Patreon account. This project was available to the entry-level membership, which is $5 a month, and yeah, you can download the sketch and paint all you want, and obviously the videos are all recorded, so they're all there for you to watch. And that's it. We've come to the end. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. I'm not sure if the project that I presented to you is something that you were expecting. I don't know. I've changed my mind so many times about the type of project that I wanted to show you as my comeback project. But this is what I did for you. So, yeah. All right. I'm not sure when I'll be posting again, but hopefully very, very soon. Thank you so much for watching this long video. If you've made it to the end, why don't you leave in the comments, what word can we choose? Flower? Yeah, so write down in the comments flower so that I know you've watched until the end. That helps me gauge what the engagement is. YouTube's algorithm. It's a battle and it's real. All right, I gotta go. Thank you so much for watching. I hopefully will see you soon. Okay.